Hello and welcome to the Legally Empowered podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Merseyside Junior Lawyers Division, celebrating International Women's Day on the 8th of March 2022, and it's sponsored by MSB Solicitors. My name's Eve Burns. I'm the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Representative for Merseyside Junior Lawyers, and I'll be hosting this episode, and I work as a paralegal at Waitmans. I'm delighted to introduce today's guest, Nina Sahu. Thank you for joining us today from Hill Dickinson.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. And I just wanted to start off the podcast just talking about your route into law and kind of how you got into the legal profession.
So I did science A-levels actually at
wow.
A-level, I know, but I had no idea what I wanted to do, and just sort of decided to do a degree that I thought would lead me into a job.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I actually went to university and did law and accounting, thinking I would end up being an accountant.
Yeah,
because I really enjoyed
the
maths.
other.
Yeah. So it was that. And although I enjoyed the accounting side of it, I really enjoyed studying law more.
Yeah.
And it's while I was at university that I kind of got more and more into law, and that's how I ended up becoming a lawyer.
And do you think, what was it about law that kind of sparked your interest when you're studying it? Was it kind of the knowledge of learning different things about different areas of, society? I know how law can touch different areas of society. Or was it kind of because you've got the kind of business mindset as well as doing accountants? Kind of what kind of...
It wasn't the business
mindset. Wasn't the business.
Really haven't got one of those, unfortunately. When I was at university, what I enjoyed most actually was learning about how case law are kind of like little stories in themselves.
Yeah,
there's always
definitely.
like a background story, and I really enjoyed that, kind of reading about different cases and then reading how sort of judges would sort of work the case to kind of fit society, and how case law evolved with society, and I always found that really interesting.
Yeah.
And then when I was also at university, I did a course on medical law and ethics.
Oh wow, okay.
And I found that really interesting, and thought clinical negligence was something that I'd find interesting, and that's where I've ended up.
Yeah, I definitely think, and especially as, what you're saying with the case law, it is about stories, and that's what keeps you interested about, how law affects every different person. It's all the different, it's never the same, and it's never the same outcome as well. So you can never
Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so that's kind of both our questions. What inspired you to get into the legal profession, and what maybe... not what inspired you to get into the legal profession, what inspired you to get into the work you do today, with healthcare and clinical negligence? Yeah,
so I was lucky enough after university to get a training contract with a law firm in Manchester who did a lot of clinical negligence. So I trained there, stayed on there, and then that was actually claimant clinical negligence. And now I do defendant clinical negligence. So
you've done both.
Switch sides.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So what would you say a typical day in your life is like, and what does your role encompass? Because I know you're a legal director, so what does that mean in where you work and what you do on a day-to-day basis?
So as a legal director, I'm responsible for supervising a team of paralegals and junior solicitors, but also I'm responsible for running my own caseload. So
busy.
I'm a defendant clinical negligence lawyer. So mainly my work involves defending claims against the NHS.
Oh, wow.
And I'm in the GP team as well. So it's mainly GPs, practice nurses, that sort of stuff.
So you've got a lot of important people to deal with.
Yeah. Definitely busy all the time. And I think with the litigation, you're always kind of, next week it's going to get better.
Yeah.
And it's just every week it's
keeps
the same.
Keeps you busy.
It's just always busy. But most of the time I'm a computer, sending emails, drafting documents. I do get to go to court, but not so much during the pandemic, unfortunately.
Yeah, hopefully
that will
change.
pick up and get to go down to court a bit more.
Yeah.
And negotiations, drafting, all sort of the normal skills that lawyers do.
Definitely. I think with litigation, you're definitely kept on your toes, and that it's almost all your skills that you've learned on, your LPC are brought to life, especially definitely in litigation. So what advice would you have liked to receive at the start of your career, when you were first starting out? So did you get a training contract straight from university? Is that how it worked?
No, definitely
we were just
not.
talking before about how, the typical, you think, oh, I'll go to uni, I'll get a training contract, and then that'll be me done. But it's it's never that way.
No, it never is. And I think most people will have had time out.
Yeah.
And I applied to loads of different firms, kept getting rejected, kept going for interviews, didn't get anywhere. And I was just lucky, really, that I did get a training contract with a firm in an area that I was really interested in. But it was just perseverance, really.
Yeah.
And I managed to get that golden training contract.
The green light.
And it was quite a long time ago as well. I've been qualified quite a few years now.
It's definitely still the same, though. There's still the same challenge, isn't it? Getting,
really
getting a training contract or even a job. I think it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's really
definitely is. Perseverance is probably.
Yeah,
I think.
But I think the advice I would have liked to have had when I first started off would be that your career isn't a race.
Yeah.
That you shouldn't worry too much about not getting that training contract straight away. If all your friends are getting that training contract, just don't worry about it, because I've had setbacks in my career, not had promotions or not got the job I wanted.
Yeah.
But when that happens, sometimes those setbacks actually turned out to be a good thing.
Yeah,
it
definitely.
meant other opportunities came along which were better.
You wouldn't have had if you'd have took the first one.
Exactly. And I think when you get rejected or you don't get what you want, it can feel awful, but there's always something better around the corner. You just don't know.
You don't know.
So I wish I'd had that advice at the beginning. It's not a race. Just take your time. You'll get where you want to get.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a long time to get where I am, but I wouldn't change the journey.
Yeah.
I've had.
No, definitely. Oh, thank you. That's great. So I think with the theme of International Women's Day for the podcast, what does it mean to you, and why do you think it's important for us to celebrate International Women's Day?
And so I think International Women's Day is really important. Like, it's really important to celebrate women's achievements.
Yeah.
So that's what it means to me. And I think we need to have good role models, good stories out there.
Yeah.
And I'm a mum to two young girls, so I want them to know that you can achieve stuff, and you can anything is possible, and being a female shouldn't stop you from doing that. So that's why I think International Women's Day is important.
Yeah,
we should definitely celebrate
I think
it.
that, and this is kind of why we thought this would be the perfect thing to do to celebrate it, celebrating women's achievements and having these podcasts to show, there are role models of women who've achieved, the same things that, I want to achieve and other people want to achieve, and other young girls. So I think definitely International Women's Day should be celebrated, and it should be women's achievements should be celebrated. So definitely, thank you, that's great. So in terms of International Women's Day, although we've got to celebrate it, we also kind of need to recognise the challenges that are faced by women, and the challenges to gender equality in society as a whole, but also in the legal sector. And what do you kind of think are the biggest challenges at the moment?
So it's quite a tricky question.
There's no right answer.
No. I mean, I think in terms of gender equality, it's always difficult, I think, for women, because biologically we have to have the babies.
Yeah.
Men can't have babies. So you have to have that time off if you want to have children. You have to have maternity leave. And not in my firm and not from my experience, but sometimes I have heard anecdotally about people coming back to work and being treated slightly differently, not having the same caseload. And I do think it's short-sighted of employers, because that same woman will then carry on and have a career for 20, 30 years if you treat them properly when they come back. So I do think maternity leave is an issue. I know when I was talking to a colleague at work, she also thought that sort of the menopause as well, that isn't talked about enough.
No.
That is something, again, that affects women and perhaps isn't recognised as much. I think there is more talk, definitely, in Hill Dickinson. We've had support and advice and talks about menopause.
More awareness of it, definitely.
But we could definitely do more, I'm sure, as a profession to support our female colleagues.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should be leading the way and kind of promoting, because these issues happen to everyone and all women. So, it's sometimes mad that it's never really talked about, or never really, it's quite like, quiet.
Shh, don't talk about the menopause.
As if it's a swear word or a bad word. It shouldn't be, it's natural, and it definitely, I think that's what will help, better support women, is recognising these life experiences and and saying that, that doesn't matter. You
It's
can still do your job and still succeed. So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. And just touching on another challenge, I know with the pandemic, what do you think employers can do to better support women in the workplace? I mean, with the challenges that they've faced, what can be done to ensure that women stay in the job that they're in and are able to get the promotions that they want?
So, I mean, I think it's not just for women, I think for men as well, that with the pandemic, I think that sort of accelerated the need for people to be able to work from home and be
definitely.
flexible.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps for women who sometimes have a bit more childcare responsibilities, being able to work from home and having that flexibility is really important.
Yeah.
I used to work from home regularly before the
Really?
pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I used to work from home 2 days a week.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And then go in the office 2 days. So I'm kind of now back to where I was
Yeah.
pre-pandemic. But a lot of my colleagues, used to prefer coming into the office, but now I think everyone's kind of realised it's quite nice working from home.
Yeah,
and,
it's nice to have the choice as well.
yeah, have a little sleep in, or
yeah.
just that time you'd spend on the commute, you can work or have a nicer lunch at home.
Yeah, definitely.
Just little things.
And when you come in, you enjoy being in more. So it's kind of, you don't know what you've got until it's gone type thing.
Yeah, completely. So I think that flexibility, if employers can carry on showing that to their employees.
And, when you were working from home before the pandemic, was that an option that was given to you by your employer, or was that something you kind of asked for?
No, it was just
Something
we've got a
offered.
really good flexible working policy, so it wasn't a problem. My boss also works from home, or used to work from home as well, flexibly. So the partner, she would work from home. It was fine.
Yeah,
it just wasn't an
definitely.
issue. So I think now I'm hoping that we'll see it across other firms as well.
Yeah.
That you should be able to work from home. It doesn't mean you're not working. You
Yeah,
can work
yeah.
and get stuff done just because you're...
Especially, if you want children, it gives you that opportunity to be able to be at home if you need to, do childcare duties like picking up your kids, but you're not gonna, stop working. You might miss out on 20 minutes and then come back straight to work. So It's not like
you just sometimes, I think, if you give your employee that little bit of flexibility, they repay that with loyalty, and they won't move, because why would they?
You're supported.
They're supported and they're trusted as well.
Yeah,
I think it is a sign that you trust your employees to get on and not just sit at home and
definitely. Watch the telly.
Yeah, I know.
I know, I couldn't do both. I wouldn't even be able to multitask, so that wouldn't work for me. Okay, so we'll move on slightly. Just back to kind of with role models, and I know that we've talked about having, role models who have done, like you said, the partner in your team, she's worked from home as well, and it's important to have kind of people who are doing a similar position to you, offering that kind of flexibility. Who would you say is a woman that's inspired you? I mean, it could be, a globally, an international figure or a celebrity, I don't know, or someone locally, family or friends or colleagues. And why do you think?
So
Putting you on the spot.
I've been listening to this podcast actually called Talking Law by Sally Penny.
Yes, yeah.
And I think Sally Penny's done a really, really good job.
Yeah.
She's set up Women in the Law, which is just to help promote women in the law, as it says on the tin. And the podcast Talking Law I've been sort of going through them quite recently, listening to them in the car. And she always asks questions about diversity and well-being, and I just think she's just doing a really, really good job. So I think Sally Penny, I'm going to choose her as my inspiration.
I've listened to some of those podcasts before, and it's brilliant. I think she raises a lot of issues that kind of are known but maybe not be talked about, in day-to-day life and everyday language with, and it does, you've got to ask the difficult questions to, do better. So I really like her as well. So what would you say your top 3 tips are? I mean, it doesn't have to be 3, but your top tips for aspiring female lawyers, or those women or young girls that are considering a career in the legal profession.
So my first top tip would be to get a support network.
Yeah.
So family, friends, but basically get people to cheer you on when things are going well, and also to sort of help you up when you might be having a bad day or
need
something,
it.
but get that support network. I think that's really important. And I think females are really good at that anyway.
Yeah.
So, but definitely get a support network, especially early on in your career, because I think there are times when you're not sure about stuff, and just being able to talk it through with other people maybe who've been through that, so like a mentor or just family, just ask them.
Someone to listen to you crying.
I've not got that job again. Never mind, it'll be all right.
Yeah,
be great.
You can carry on. It's about that perseverance, what you were saying at the start, making sure you pick yourself up and you keep going. And sometimes I find as well, it helps if people, don't have a clue about what you're doing. My mum, if I always say to my mum, or, I need to do this, she probably doesn't have any idea, but she's like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Keep going, darling. Doing really well.
Whereas like she's kind of thinking probably no clue what that means. What is a training contract like? So yeah, definitely. I definitely agree.
I was going to say to just get out of your comfort zone now and again. Yeah. So this is definitely out of my comfort zone, just saying.
Brill, yeah.
But just to try something new, because it is good to try different things and experience things. So, especially when you're just starting off, that's the best time to get out of your comfort zone, try new things, make mistakes if you need to.
Yeah.
But do that, because sometimes it leads on to other really good things. So definitely get out of your comfort zone. And the last tip would be to shout about your achievements.
Yes.
And
definitely.
Guilty. Yeah. Not shouting enough. Because I think women just don't do that enough. Yeah. They wait to be asked and wait to be, an appraisal or a time when you're sort of sitting with your boss and to sort of say, well, actually, I've done this and that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you just need to just shout about it. Just
definitely.
Tell whoever you're working for, actually, I spent all day working on this podcast and it's going to change lives.
It's going to go viral. It's going to be picked up by Spotify and we will be. We'll all be millionaires. No, I completely agree. And I think, definitely, a confidence with women, we definitely need to be more confident, because I think we do such a good, women do such a good job in anything that they do, but it definitely is that, you need to be able to shout about it and say, and be confident and back yourself. So
I think so long we just think, oh, they'll notice. Or they'll see what good work I'm doing. Surely they see I'm working late every single day.
No. Tell them.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So also within, your work as a legal director, you're also the chair of the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Committee at Liverpool Law Society. So kind of with that role, what does EDI mean to you, and kind of why is it important, in everyday society?
So for me, equality means being sat at the table, making joint decisions.
Yeah.
Diversity would be having different people with different experiences joining in with that discussion. So not just having the same people, same type of person sitting around the table making those decisions, have a diverse body of people.
Yeah.
And inclusion means being able to bring your whole self to work. And I think it's really important because we are all different. Yeah. Nobody's the same. And that's what makes us great. And we need to celebrate those differences and not just look for the same type of person.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing the same type of job. Everybody brings different experiences. So I think it's really important that we do try and make the workplace more inclusive, more diverse.
Yeah.
Can make it better.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, I guess because I'm a mum, I want to see my girls grow up into a world which is more accepting and more inclusive. So
yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. Thank you. So that brings us to our last kind of question within the topic. I mean, what do we think can be done to improve EDI, not just in the legal profession, but in everyday society? Kind of what can we do, or what is being done at the moment that can improve it?
So, I mean, it's great that the Merseyside Junior Lawyers Division and yourself have got looking at EDI, and obviously Liverpool Law Society, we've got this committee. So we are trying to sort of share good practice, trying to sort of encourage firms to think about EDI. And it is something that senior management has to get on board, but also it has to sort of permeate throughout the whole business. Yeah. It can't just be that, the board's on board, that's it. you've got to look at your policies, look at how you recruit people.
Yeah.
Have you got a diverse panel, recruiting, and provide those role models.
Yeah.
At Hill Dickinson, we've got quite a few sort of networks, which means that people with sort of different interests can sort of talk, but you don't have to, be from a certain background to join those networks. Anyone can join those networks, allies can.
Yeah.
So it is really good to sort of see those sort of practices in place, but there's always more that can be done. Yeah, it's such a big topic.
It's a journey.
Yeah, definitely. But it's good to see more firms, I think, talking about it and thinking about it.
Yeah.
So we just keep spreading the word, keep getting people on board.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true, and I think anything, raising awareness for any of those issues is a positive thing, and it will even be a small step into the right direction. So thank you so much for taking part, and thank you for for having such really interesting answers. So
no problem.
It's been great. Thank you.